I'm Tad Flaky,
I'm Lilibet Flaky.
and this is Pointless Global News. On today's show, a Florida man gets his freak on with a vacuum cleaner.
Then, a rumble breaks out on a Florida pickleball court.
Next, the government's new realfood.gov website has a chatbot that will cheerfully advise you what foods you can shove up your ass. That story later, but first, it's been quite a while since we last heard from Florida man, and frankly, I'm getting a little bit worried, so let's check in on him here. Let's see. Oh, I see here he got arrested for banging a vacuum cleaner. Well, I guess we don't have to worry about him. He just seems to be doing fine. Kevin Westerhold was recently arrested, suspected of engaging in a fascinating series of public indecency. Residents of a Kissimmee, Florida neighborhood alerted the police to a man flashing passersby in the area. By the time the cops got there, he was long gone. However, the cops learned that before the man left, he performed a sex act with a vacuum cleaner, as one does in Florida, right? Well, the consequent investigation found that the man, whom the cops had now identified as Westerhold, had a history of exposing his nether regions to others. They also learned other curious facts, like that Westerhold was apparently a Airbnb host. He proved slippery, though, and the cops couldn't find Westerhold. It took a few days until they finally arrested him near his home. Westerhold has been released and is awaiting a trial. Hopefully, the vacuum was equally into it. Otherwise, it's fair to say the vacuum will probably need some counseling.
Well, Ted, I would say you're always knocking Florida, but unfortunately, what happens in Florida happens in Florida. They can't help it.
It's just too easy, really.
I know.
It just writes itself.
And yet more Florida news. A Florida couple was arrested after a pickleball dispute escalated into a massive brawl involving nearly 24 country club members. Anthony Sapienza, 63, and his wife, Julianne Sapienza, 51, are facing charges following an incident at Spruce Creek Country Club in Port Orange, according to an online arrest affidavit filed in the Volusia Sheriff's Office. At about 11 a.m. on February 8th, deputies responded to reports of a physical fight in progress on the pickleball court that involved over 20 individuals. Fire and rescue were also called to the scene following reports of physical injuries. The Sapienzas were in the middle of a game with another couple when things got heated after Anthony accused the opposing players of stepping into the kitchen. For you non-pickleball aficionados, the kitchen is a restricted area on the court intended to prevent aggressive close-range net smashing. That said, things got even more aggressive when the sides exchanged verbal insults, which only grew more heated after the match ended, and Anthony yelled to the other couple walking away, "Your wife is a bitch." The husband told Anthony not to speak to his wife that way before Anthony then approached him and punched him on the left side of his face and struck him with a pickleball paddle, causing significant bleeding, police said. The victim was taken to the hospital by emergency crews for treatment of a laceration above his left eye. Anthony is also accused of forcefully pushing the victim's wife to the ground when she tried to help her husband. A bystander, age 70, told police he tried to break up that exchange, which prompted Anthony to punch him in the face, causing his nose to bleed profusely. Another witness told police she called 911 after claiming she saw Anthony punch the other husband and hit him with a pickleball paddle as both men fell to the ground. Anthony and Julianne fled the scene before they were later arrested on charges brought by the 70-year-old who intervened. Julianne faces a charge of felony battery on a person 65 years of age or older. Anthony was arrested on 2 counts of felony battery, as well as aggravated battery causing bodily harm. In charging documents, Assistant State Attorney Danielle Fields accused Anthony of intentionally causing bodily harm to a victim and using the pickleball paddle as a deadly weapon. A hearing is scheduled for March 3rd. Well, you know I'm a passionate pickleball player.
Yes, you are.
and play sometimes as many as 3 times a week. I take lessons, and I play at a senior center, and I have seen seniors getting into very heated arguments about pickleball rules. I, for one, don't ever get so involved that I'm gonna start a fight with someone.
You're smart. You just walk away.
I walk away or I say, "Whatever you say," but it is a fun game, and, people can get very serious about breaking the rules and not, admitting it or realizing it.
And I'm just happy you haven't tried to hit me with the pickleball
No,
paddle.
but I'm trying to get you to play with me, maybe this summer.
I will. I
Maybe.
actually will.
That's what you said
I
last
know.
summer.
I know. I
We'll
know.
see.
I'll do my best to live up to my promise. But then again, who knows? Anyway, um, our last story today is about the Department of Health and Human Services and the new website that they've launched called realfood.gov. And they revealed it with a fanfare that you would, of course, expect for an $8 million Super Bowl ad. And it had all the quality assurance of prison sushi. Let me expand on that. Within 48 hours of the commercial airing, the site's chatbot was cheerfully advising visitors on the optimal produce for rectal insertion. The site works by redirecting every question to Grok. That's the AI chatbot developed by Elon Musk's XAI, and previously best known for generating sexualized deepfakes of women and children and styling itself as Mecha Hitler and insisting its creator would win hypothetical head-to-head matchups with everyone, from Einstein to LeBron. A White House official confirmed to NextGov that Grok was an approved government tool, a phrase that appears to be accurate in at least two separate contexts. One person told the chatbot that they followed an acetarian diet, defined as consuming only foods that can be comfortably inserted into the rectum. Grok subsequently produced a ranked list of top acetarian staples, recommending bananas as the gold standard, while noting that slightly green ones offered superior structural integrity. Cucumbers placed second, which is a travesty, but I digress. The website was built by the National Design Studio, led by Airbnb co-founder Joe Gebbia, and originally stated use of Grok to get real answers about real food. That was, of course, before administrators quietly changed the wording to just use AI after a reporter called to ask about it. The underlying chatbot, however, remained Grok, in the same way that putting a Hawaiian t-shirt on a bear does not make it a tourist. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. called the Super Bowl ad the most important message in Super Bowl history, a claim that arrived the same week investigators discovered that his commission's landmark children's health report cited at least 7 scientific studies that do not exist. Researchers named in the bibliography told reporters that they had never written the studies attributed to them, and in some cases, the conclusions described were the opposite of their actual findings, although the latter has been an ongoing problem since well before the advent of AI. The MAHA Center, that of course is Make America Healthy Again, a nonprofit run by Kennedy ally Tony Lyons, funded the Super Bowl ad through some anonymous billionaire donors. Lyons also runs Skyhorse Publishing, which published Kennedy's anti-Fauci book, and the two organizations share a Manhattan office address. The ad was directed by Brett Ratner, who recently appeared in more than a dozen photos in the Epstein files and who is currently under renewed scrutiny for sexual misconduct allegations, making him a natural choice to helm a public health campaign asking Americans to trust the government about what they put in their bodies. Kennedy, meanwhile, has threatened to ban government scientists from publishing in peer-reviewed journals he considers to be corrupt, proposing instead a state-run alternative. This is from the man whose own flagship report couldn't survive a basic fact check and whose nutrition website spent its first week of existence ranking vegetables by rectal compatibility, and worst of all, got all the rankings completely out of order. Everyone knows that cucumbers have more rigidity than green bananas. So what do you think of all that? I know you love Bobby Brainworm.
You know I love him and his cocaine off a toilet seat sniffing self. But you're not going to get adequate nutrition by shoving things up your rectum. The digestive system just doesn't work that way.
No, obviously it's just a prank.
Obviously, it's a prank. But there are people out there who will believe it. Think of the people who drank bleach during COVID. And so...
Sure makes for a great story.
It sure does.
Well, that's going to be a wrap for another Pointless Global News. Be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Tad Flaky.
I'm Lilibet Flaky.
Stay pointless, my friend.